Hello everyone, Mathrall here. Welcome back to another Suggestion Saturday video. This one, I'm just going to go over a few forum ideas that really popped out to me. And by a few, I mean there's actually like 5 I have open right now. Excuse me. Okay, so this first one is from Delta Slug, and it's an Alchemy Aura slash Scrimshaw. It says the effect is that the Aura or Scrimshaw has a chance of automatically perform the Alchemy spell on the item you are casting upon, or it can save the runes that you would have cost. So Superheat will instantly smelt the next ore of the same type into a bar, or will automatically alch the same next item of the same name. Me personally, I wouldn't want to do this because I don't really see the need or the necessary means of it anymore, especially since like the rune pouch came out because you can now store runes in that. As is the reason why I'm not necessarily for it, at least with the aura aspect, is you kind of already have a lot of auras. So to create another aura would be kind of an inconvenience. However, as Scrimshaw, with a little bit of tweaking, I think this could be a really good idea. Like, what do you guys think about it? So basically, what it would be, um, you'll do one, and then the next time you get something of the same name within that time frame, it'll automatically do it for you, and it'll be instant, which it's fine. Just I can't see a situation where this would be overly useful. I mean, it's a decent idea. I just personally I think it needs some tweaking, and eventually I know they said about releasing a high alch icon or just an alchemy icon where you can click and drag and drop the item into it, and eventually it'll automatically alch it for you. So if that's come to be, like this actually, thinking about it, this idea actually could be useful. Let's say if you go into, like a Slayer assignment, or if you're mining, and it could be useful in those regards. So I mean, it's not necessarily bad. It's just it affects a very small select. Like this one to me would be good for like the passion projects. It's not like a big over the top update, but it would be a nice little small one that some people would enjoy. So I can see it. I'm kind of back and forth on it. And the next one is from Boltstorm. It is called Divine Satchel Invention. And it says, well, what the intended use for this is, and he says he envisions it'll act primarily as a skilling item for the transportation of things such as logs, bones, herbal supplies, planks, etc. And he says what it is, if implemented, would act as a secondary inventory, consuming charges depending on the value stored within, like an Ava's device for combat. This item would occupy the cape slot, but would not offer any combat bonuses. So basically, it would be like one. It would be kind of like taking the sign of the porter, but putting it on your back, and it would automatically transport, those type of things for you to your bank. And for each item, depending on either the level or the value, I'd have to go with level, not so much as value, but just the level of the item, it would just kind of send it back. And he says to make up for this being, such a good item, it would actually have to have no combat stats. So it would have no combat stats, but it'd have that huge benefit of sending stuff back to your bank for you. And it would operate off of the charges from Invention in the charge pack. I actually love this idea. I believe it'd actually be very good for a lot of skillers because then you could go to a location and you could be there for a long time, kind of like how it is for, combat. Right now, combat is kind of easy, especially for a lot of Slayer tasks. You can kind of sit there for a long time until the task is done and then go about your way. So I can actually see a lot of appeal to that. I think that's a really good one. And Boltstorm, I really love your idea. Matter of fact, I'm even going to post that I support this. So I'm going to leave this one open. Character creation. This is one that's been getting talked about for a long time. And I think it would be a good idea now that things have been kind of changing. Because it used to be that it was humans against the gods, the human against the god. But then it became more about the world guardian against, defending the world. So, honestly, I see no issue with it. The only issue is, like, and it's not really actually a big issue, because all they would have to do is, if they'd want to, in time, maybe add some different dialogue for some different quests, and, you know, that would probably be the biggest issue. But if they wanted to let it go for a little while, they easily could. And then maybe gradually make some little tweaks here and there to change, maybe some dialogue where they would say human and you could change it to where it would say goblin instead. I honestly think it would be kind of neat. And they're saying about how, having new character slots. I like the idea of that. And I don't really have anything against it. I just don't know if it's right for this game, if you know what I mean. It's a good one. The races, yeah, definitely. I do think it would be, a way to really expand upon it, make things more interesting. It even shows, like different things here. But I think that would be kind of neat. And they're saying about having character starting areas and character race selection. But I think the race selection thing, it should be. There shouldn't be anything to deal with that. Just like the character starting area, I don't think there should be anything like that. Because it should have the same startup as any others. Because your character, basically, when you start, is your character doesn't know where he's from. Or she. You're just an adventurer, you're a hero. And there's already a dwarf when you first start. So, I mean, it's not really a big deal. I was not flipping off the camera, I just had my hand awkward. But so, in certain races, I think would have to wait. Like the Avian Sea, Demon especially would have to wait. Ape, I don't think that's going to ever be a thing. But I could see, the gnomes. I could see, well, human, of course, dwarf. Maybe an undead race. Elven and goblin. Those ones I can see. Oh, and they're also saying special passives. I would originally I would have said yes to this, but I think for this game I would have to say no. That's my only thought is no to that. So I would have to say that there's a lot of good concepts to it, and a lot of concepts that a lot of people have been using, but I just don't think certain things need to be added, like, special passive effects. Just X that out. Certain races maybe down the road, but I think, the basic ones of, goblin, elven, undead, dwarf, and human, and gnome. I think those would all be good ones. Starting areas, I'd have to say no to that because that would create a lot of issues probably for the game. I think in time the game would actually have to. The game already is at a point where it should be installed. It should no longer be a browser game. It would make a lot of people's computers run it easier. Yeah, it would eat up some people's hard drives, but for the size of the game and how big it's getting and how it keeps getting bigger and bigger, I think it would be a good idea for them to actually just have an installation, not just, update the launcher. Okay, so there was a masterwork item, mining and smithing as well, and I wanted to give my opinions on that. Um, so I did want to get that out. Gear sockets and crafting update, that's another player suggestion. And I understand what they're going for here, but my only thing with this is it wouldn't work. And it can't work now because of Invention. Invention is basically like their version of sockets. And to, make a new system to it, I think it would be bad because you're already basically socketing gear. And I understand there's a lot of gems in there in the game, but just, disassemble them. Make them into jewelry and disassemble them. So there already is, stuff like this into effect. So I have to say, that's just a big old pass. So there's an early design for masterwork items, and I want to show you guys this. And it says the most complicated and expensive smithing items in the rework. It does say the design is subject to change, but I do want to see this, and I'm sure you guys are possibly interested as well. Okay, is there pictures? No, there's just a whole heck of a lot of information. Wow, 50 cycle. Oh, yeah. Okay, so basically, the Masterwork Ethereum sword, which I think is like the highest you can go. It would go from. Oh wow, you have to make each individual piece. Wow, that it would make some very impressive gear. I would say that. Very impressive. Unfortunately, I really wanted to see some picture, but there, I'll leave a link below showing, where to find this information, because they have a link right here, and it's through, JMod himself. So it's an early spreadsheet of how it would go. And yes, it does take a while to make it, but that's because they want to make it on par with how long it would take approximately to get this kind of stuff from bosses. So they're trying to make it so it doesn't devalue bosses, but at the same time, people can still make it. So from what I've seen, that's going to be really good. And like somebody said here, maybe decrease the time instead of 400 minutes to make it to 200. But I don't know. I think it's a good idea, and I do think the masterwork items would be a good idea. But I will leave a link down below as to, well, a quick find code where to find the posts for the forums, and then you guys can go from there if you just want to go through and read, what people say, or if you want to go through and actually look at the document itself. But that'll actually be it for this video, so thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, later guys.